Hello and welcome to the second channel for Tales from the Trip. I'm your host, the Trip Keeper, and on today's video, we are going to be doing another frightening trip reports to fall asleep to part. What the fuck? Let's see here. I don't know what part we're on actually. Give me a second. I honestly just woke up. Had a crazy trip last night. I watched Chernobyl for the first time. I thought that was a great miniseries. Let's see, where are we at? Oh, well, I didn't even post one since a month ago. So, okay, so we're on volume 8. Yeah, no, I watched Chernobyl, or is it Chernobyl? Whatever. Yeah, no, I thought that was a great series. You know, it was definitely something, you know, for sure. I think it was, I think people should watch it if they haven't already. It has a very high rating on IMDb, which is crazy. I don't think it's like that amazing, but I thought it was really good. It's not Sopranos level amazing, which Sopranos does not have a higher score than it, I don't think. And I don't know if it's better than Breaking Bad. I don't know. I don't think so. But it's definitely up there for sure. For 5 episodes, it's one of the better shows I've seen. But yeah, no, I stayed up all night watching it, and then I finished it this morning because even though it was 5 episodes, they were all hour long. The last one was like an hour 12 minutes or some shit. But then the credits would come on like when there would be 7 minutes left. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on here? Like, why is there 7-minute credits? Like, why do you have to have 7 minutes of credits to explain the people who helped you with this fucking show? Must been a lot. But I thought the first episode was the best in my opinion because I like the scenes with the gore and stuff, and then there's other gore scenes in the later episodes, like in episode 3 or 4, I think it's 3. The guy's the woman's husband in the hospital was the firefighter for it. Spoiler, I don't care. The firefighter had to go like nose deep into the accident, and yeah, he basically got burned, and he slowly, it looked like he was doing okay. They came to the hospital room. She came to the hospital and said, and the nurse was like, only stay with him for no longer than 30 minutes. And she was there for like a day or 2 or whatever. She hugged him and everything. She said not to touch him, but she hugged him. And then, you know, he was playing cards, smoking a cigarette. A lot of people are smoking cigarettes in this show. They were doing that, and then he saw his wife and gave her a hug, and you know he had red on his face, which was like, okay, you know, that's how he looked like before. And then the next scene he was in, he was screaming, and he was like, help me, and I think that was like that there's a lot of stuff here in this series that was true, but that part was like fake. I think that was dramatized, that because I don't think those people were actually real. I mean, maybe they were, but they weren't like actually, they weren't, those specific characters weren't real, you know what I'm saying? Like that could have happened for sure, but I don't know. And then the next scene he was in, he was wrapped in like a sheet, and he had the blinds closed, and he was all red. And then the next scene he was in, he was just completely like, oh my god, it was nasty as fuck. But I think that's what they did best with the gore effects. I think the effects were really, really amazing with that. And then another guy, he said, who, oh my god, the one guy in the fucking show who was lying about the radioactive levels, that guy pissed me off, and that guy was serious too, and he was lying in the courtroom and everything. Like I just wanted that guy to fucking, I don't know what I want him to do, but he died like in the 10 years later from the poisoning. So yeah, it's very fucked up what happened there. You don't really realize it. You know, because I know some Russian people, and you know they had to be tested and shit, make sure their babies weren't fucking, you know, poisoned by this fucking radiation. So yeah, it's still, you know, it's still inhabitable. So you know that's some crazy ass shit right there. But yeah, who knows when we're gonna be able to go there, because they said at the end of the documentary that or not the documentary, the show, that they were testing the firefighters' clothes, and then it was still like very highly radioactive. So like, not anytime soon. I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. But that's definitely scary. It's like it definitely has you on edge that whole time. Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation? Well, why? Like this fucking, it all happened because this one fucking guy, and well, not one guy, but like, you know, just other people who were like kind of like supporting him with it. Like the I don't know what the guy's name was, but he was kind of weird, and I didn't like how the show was speaking in English. I'd rather have English subtitles with Russian and Ukrainian speaking, because it just didn't seem right. I'm like, when I first started watching, I'm like, did English people work at this place? But I was like, no, that would be stupid if that happened. But no, because they just wanted to make it like an American friendly, you know, TV show. But I'd rather watch the subtitles for a more foreign thing. But you gotta appease the crowd, you know. You gotta appease the crowd. But anyways, that's my spiel on the Chernobyl TV series. I do recommend it though. I think there's a lot of great in it, and it's very cinematically entertaining. But there are some boring spots, I'd say, in the middle. I think you don't have to like watch the whole thing. I was skipping through some parts as I was trying to like see through. But so that's actually a good part of it. That's not even a bad thing about it. But yeah. All right, let's get reading to these stories. I just wanted to talk about that really quickly because that was on my mind. I wanted to just speak about it since it's just like so fucking fresh in there, you know. So I'll probably put like a time card saying when I'm gonna read these stories. So if you guys don't care about my Chernobyl, you guys don't want to get it spoiled, I am going to start reading these stories now. We got some stories, DXM. Let's see, we got LSD one that everyone wants me to read. Yeah, we got a Benadryl one, we got mushroom one, we got a HHC one, and then we got two more maybe. We'll see. We'll see where we're at. All right, so this person told me to read this. I've been putting it off for a while. I was gonna read it last time, but I totally forgot. So I have to read this one first because I promised the dude. So shout out you. I turned into SpongeBob and attacked my friends while breaking out of the Matrix on DXM. Please read. Yeah. So. My friend just sent me a funny message. Sorry. All right. So he basically wrote down the same thing for the first two lines. Okay. It all went down near my friend John's house. My friend John's house. Fake name for sake of identity. We both had been on hallucinogenic binges for around 2 weeks, so we were both feeling bold. I had done DXM with my other friend a few weeks prior. He had discovered it after his parents had caught him doing drugs and started drug testing him, so he had researched online what he could take without failing his test. I took 20 Wall-Tussin gel tablets, each 15 milligrams, that we had previously shoplifted. Is Wall-Tussin, is that Walmart or is that Walgreens? I think that's Walgreens. Or CVS? Wall-Tussin? No, yeah, that's Walgreens. Okay, so that's Walgreens DXM. So it's basically like Wall-Tussin is basically the Robitussin, the Walgreens version of Robitussin, if you guys did not know. I remember that. I remember that now, looking at it. It was a strange feeling. I was slightly nauseous and felt drunk or even cross-faded and had a very euphoric body high while laying in my bed. Fast forward back to me and John searching for drugs and figuring that we would go to a drugstore near his house that was walking distance this time. I sadly do not remember the name of the brand, but I do remember that I had swallowed 1,200 milligrams of capsules. Now that's a lot if you guys didn't know. John had taken the same amount, but he had a notoriously weak stomach and vomited the pills up before he could feel the effects. I remember my stomach felt terrible and it was extremely hard to walk. This paired with the inability to urinate and my smaller than average bladder made for an uncomfortable nighttime experience. When I woke up in the morning, I was disappointed and embarrassed with myself. I had wet John's bed. However, he knew of my bladder problems. I was not upset. He just threw the pissy clothes and blankets in the wash and gave me a pair of his stepdad's cargo shorts, which I'd look ridiculous in, but it didn't matter since we had to go to a fair with his family, which I had agreed to days prior, so I couldn't necessarily back down. I was slurring my words in front of John's parents. I felt so brain-fried and stupid, especially when I had stumbled everywhere I walked. We had left the fair, arriving back at his house, and at this point, I had felt better than I did before, gaining my motor functions back somewhat. I kind of wanted to know, like, what happened at the fair. Like, was there anything that happened at the fair? Because that seems like that's where you'd be peeking at. We had decided we would hang out with our friend Jane, who had live resin dabs, which we had decided to meet at the park. We all walked from the park, and we all walked from the park. We had met at... I'm sorry, guy. We all walked from the park we had met at to a park that we knew had less people due to its smaller size. Okay, sorry, that was way too much park and we's and ats and twos and. But it all made sense in the end, so that was my fault, guys. I'm sorry. Jane had forgotten something and had to go back to the original park. Oh, there's another park. She was letting us smoke a bit without her. Me and John loaded James' rig with a dab for him, and we used the bottom of the plastic dab container to cover the nail. This seems to work fine until we get to me, in which the plastic container melted and the nail/down pipe broke off right after I hit the huge dab. 20 seconds after, we freak out about the broken pipe as Mom called screaming at him about how she had found the empty containers of pills. Uh-oh. We both were freaked out and I was super high. Jane comes back and we tell her but she was very understanding. After we were all done smoking, that's when everything hit me. I hallucinated that John was Patrick and I was SpongeBob and Jane was Squidward. I'd also believed that the weed we smoked was crack because of this, and had ended up kicking John out of fear. Before I kicked him, I thought I had been making some kind of weird joke. That's a very interesting thing to think. You're SpongeBob. People around you are Patrick and Squidward. All right, that reminds me of the WKUK sketch where the guy Trevor Moore thinks he sees Forrest Whitaker. He's like, you know what? My doctor told me that I have a disease where I see Forrest Whitaker. Show is amazing. John asked me repeatedly if I was okay, but all I said was, Angry Bird ice cone crack. Alright. And when he said the phrase back to me, I hallucinated that the world melted away and my reality shattered. What I saw was an infinite version of a man grabbing his chest, falling over, and eating grass. I thought I had no-clipped into purgatory. Then it cut to what I can only describe as the Badlands from the game Minecraft. Search for reference. Finally, it cut to an entity taking a headset off of me, and that's when I woke up from the trip. Excuse me. Everything still looked cartoony. I could still see myself out of body. I still thought my reality was fabricated, and when I came through, I was crying my eyes out. I was convinced my family, my friends, my lover, my whole world around me was made upon a simulated reality. I made John call my roommate who had been at our work the whole day, and when he answered, I was screaming and crying that the life I lived was a simulation, which he also thought to have been a joke till I was conscious the next day. I don't even remember being picked up that day, but I guess I had. That's not even the worst part though. I guess I must have just blanked that the same day I was just supposed to be getting my passport photo taken, which turned out great, being that I had looked like I had been up for weeks. Sorry for fucking that one up. Sorry. I am very sorry for fucking that sentence up. Fast forward a few days and my liver was out of order and I was mentally distraught. However, it's been months since the trip, and I'm still affected by it mentally, and not completely sure anything is real anymore. This was the worst trip I have ever had. Do not do this. I can't even have a proper acid trip after this, so just stick with what you know you can do. Do your research, and treat substances like what they are, not toys. Alright, a very good story. I'm glad I got to read it finally. I hope you are very happy. I kind of fucked up there. That was probably one of my worst reads of all time. Hopefully it's not this bad for the next story, because that was just completely horrible. I apologize. That's like a Ralph Cifaretto on Sopranos when he actually apologized. Bro, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't know. He was a fucking asshole, and then he finally experiences some trauma, and he's like, okay, wait. This is emotional pain. I didn't know you can do this. Yeah, Ralph Cifaretto, definitely one of the best characters in The Sopranos of all time. I mean, he was just, oh my god, that's one of the best characters in a TV show, period. I'm drinking my Bang energy drink, Purple Haze up in my brain. But yeah, no. So yeah, that story was very interesting. Like I said, I wish there could have been. I think if you could have remembered things from the fair, that would have been a cool aspect to the trip, to see like what the people were thinking. Like if you were like, dude, did people know you were on DXM or something? But that was a good trip regardless. So I'm happy with it. And that would have freaked me out when the mom called and found all the pills, dude. That's always a very Ooh, that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing to have happen to you, because I have experience with that with my mom for sure. And well, when she found my weed one time, she found my bowl and everything, and I had to throw it away because I was like, I'm not smoking weed anymore. Fuck you. She was totally against weed, but here she is drinking fucking alcohol and beer every night. Like, well, she only drank beer, but still, like, she was just like, bah, 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 I'm drinking beer every night, but you can't smoke weed. Bah, 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 bah. That's not how my mom talks at all, but yeah. All right, so this one is making headways. Is it headways? Is that the right word? On my Reddit page, it's called the 150 microgram tablets of LSD that made me run around my house blackout and nude in front of my siblings. It's not a long story, so it can't go on my main channel unless I did an LSD video, which I'm not going to do anytime soon. So that's why it's going to go on here, and we're going to read it and put it up front because people were talking about it. People were tagging me. I got tagged in it twice. I never get tagged in stories. So yeah, so they want me to really read this one. So we're gonna see. Hopefully it's as good as everyone says. Just like Long Legs. I'm seeing Long Legs tomorrow, and I hope it's as good as everyone says it is, because I need to see a good horror movie, because I'm in need of a fucking horror movie. And Chernobyl was actually pretty horrifying in some aspects, so yeah, that actually detoxed me a little bit in the horror aspect. Alright, this one is by Fiabella, or the last one was by XX Killstreak, so yeah, we upvoted that one. Alright. Alright. I have never been more scared than I was during the time in this trip. I felt completely detached from any reasonable psyche. I'm already fucking up. I think I've temporarily learned what it's like to go insane. Trip Keeper voice, please. Okay, let's reread that in the Trip Keeper voice, like, just completely. I think I've temporarily learned what it's like to go insane. Yeah, you that was definitely good for it. It all started with 2 fine 150 microgram LSD tablets late in the evening. I've always been a night tripper, as I don't want to disturb my family while I trip. You will come to find out how horribly I failed in this attempt from this story. Coming from 2 tabs, I began noticing come-up effects, and before I knew it, I was disappointed? Well, it's been 30 or so minutes, and I still feel nothing. Guess I need to take 4 more. Oh god. 300 micrograms plus now 600 micrograms, totaling to 900 micrograms. Oh boy, that's a lot. Well, maybe you could have seen the discrepancy in my thinking. I didn't wait nearly long enough to be able to know. In fact, just as the 4 tabs were going down my throat, I began to feel the initial full effects of the 300 micrograms hitting like a truck, actually. Okay, so you got hit by a truck, by an acid truck. I give it 30 minutes. The acid, whose strength I previously underestimated, snuck up on me in a way I didn't even know was possible, at least until I felt its wrath on my poor worldly soul. I felt my brain pop out of existence, or maybe not. I certainly noticed moments of clarity, but in such intermittence that I lacked the ability to properly comprehend my surroundings. My brain genuinely abandoned all reason. I no longer felt like a human being. I felt like an animal, something that couldn't speak English, not conjure anything close to the mental capacity for it. My brain had been reduced to its simplest form and then stimulated by some of the strongest altitudes of emotions I have ever felt. The real fun started with the vomit. It went everywhere. Not like I could even tell what was going on. All I knew was that it was all over my body and I needed it off. So the reasonable thing for me to do was hit the shower. I throw my clothes off, as one does. Wait, you guys take your clothes off in the shower? Not me. I go in there with my clothes on. Is that weird? Seemingly by this point, I can somehow conjure up the mental stability to do so. Not for long though. I continue vomiting on myself. The scene is pitiful. I finally fully go crazy by this point. I'm completely off my rocker. By this point, nobody in my family knows. That can only last for so long though, as I confusingly daze my way out of the shower into the loft, and then the first floor, and then the basement, and then my little brother's room. Oh boy, that's a story. Well, yeah, we're reading it. I'm not aware that I am naked, either that or I do not have the mental capacity to care. I decide it's an amazing idea to wake my little brother up because I have no idea. I will never know exactly what I was thinking that led me there. All I remember, I was a confused, concerned, and annoyed siblings ushered me back upstairs. Yes, siblings, plural, as one more had gotten up in time to see my sorry case. Then I blacked out. I don't remember anything after this. I honestly think the experience was too traumatic for me to ever remember. Thank God, to be honest, because this was an extremely horrible experience for all parties involved. All I know is that I owed my siblings hella lunch after this. It was like $60. Ouch. But oh well, it was worth every penny to see them not so frustrated with me. The end. Thank you, Trip Keeper, for all that you do. I really put my whole heart and soul into this, and for that reason, I'd love to see you read it. This is the first story I put finger to keyboard for, but I have so many more in the old noggin. So if the people like it, oh yeah, well, I think people like this story. Yeah, let's upvote that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna, I would like to know what was going through your siblings' head at that point. Like, what were they think? Were they just like, what the fuck? Why is my sister naked in my room right now? And how old are they? That's what I'd like to know as well. Because that if they were younger, then maybe it wouldn't been as weird. But if they were like around your age, then yeah, that would have been a lot more weird. I'm just glad I'm not a fucking I didn't have any siblings growing up. I was an only child, so my mom, she cared about me and me only. And I have to worry about that shit. I saw a really weird Quora post saying some shit. I don't even want to say it on YouTube, but it was really weird. I posted on my Instagram, and it was about just think about it. You'll know what I'm talking about. And it just really weirded me out. But I guess I don't know if that's normal between siblings. But when you're on acid, hey, anything goes. So that's I mean, definitely the mistake here was taken more than 300 micrograms, or what was, I think just taking 150 micrograms would have been fine enough, but 300 and then 600 and then 900, like, dude, that's so much. 900 micrograms. I mean, that's not the most you could do. You could definitely do more, but like, oh my God. I just feel bad for the kids too, because they probably got traumatized. I don't know if they're kids though. I really don't know. They said sibling. Usually when you say siblings, they mean they're younger. So, and with inflation nowadays, you definitely have to pay $60 for a couple Happy Meals. So you had to pay for Happy Meals because they saw you naked. So, I pray for your siblings, and I hope they're not totally traumatized, and I hope you're not totally traumatized either. Oh boy. Yeah. All right. So this next one is a 500 milligram insane Benadryl experience. Now we do have Benadryl trip reports fall asleep too, but we gotta include it into these ones as well, because I get so many all the time, and I might as well just add it in anyway. Also, thank you for the last story, for formatting it completely perfectly. Like, that was great. I rarely messed up on that one, but I'm just like, I'm in a really weird mental state right now, and I don't know what's going on, but I did wake up very, very late today, so that could be it. But yeah. All right, this next one. All right, 500 milligrams, insane Benadryl experience. Every trip I have had on Benadryl prior to this one has been very positive. I've never been truly scared on one. Even meeting the Hat Man, I thought he was a chill guy, but this trip was not enjoyable. It was 4th of July. I got done lighting fireworks, and I was at my grandmother's house. And oh boy. That reminded me of my grandma got run over by a reindeer. I don't know why. I had a 250 pill bottle of Walgreens off-brand Benadryl. What's with Walgreens? This is the theme of today's video, Walgreens off-brand shit. I took out 21 25 milligram pills and put them in my Zyn container. Oh my God, imagine using it as like a Zyn. I drive back to my house and FaceTime my friend. I then ask him yes or no, purposely not telling him what either meant. He then says yes, so I show him the 21 pills. I put them all in my mouth and show them on my tongue, then gulp them all down at once with a Coke. About an hour later, they kick in. All right, all 21 pills, that's a lot. That is quite a bit. My first hallucination was my boxing dummy. He turned his head, then blinked. I looked at his... are we talking about that one fucking guy? Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. I look at his shadow, and it turned into a detailed tiny girl from The Ring. At this point, I'm still thinking it can be positive. My heart was racing, and I was terrified because I didn't know what I was going to see. I start staring at my wall, focusing as much as I can, trying to spawn a bird hallucination. I've done it 4 times in a trip prior, and I thought it was cool, but instead of seeing a bird, I see an almost invisible snake crawling up my wall. After around 30 minutes, I tell my friend, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Scream. Great movie. I start limping my heavy-ass body to the stairs and start sneaking down them to the best of my ability. I then miss the last 3 steps and fall. I'm sorry for laughing, but it doesn't feel like I fell at all. I go to the fridge and my mom comes into the kitchen. I was just staring at the floor. She asks, "What is wrong with you?" And through my delirium, I tell her, "My chip fell out. I can't find it." Then she asks, "Are you fucked up right now? What did you take?" I just stare at her. I tell her, "I just took a little bit of Benadryl," but she keeps asking. The day after she told me, I was just muttering antihistamine over and over again. She tells me we need to go to the hospital. I kept reassuring her that I was fine. I kept searching the tile floor, not sure what I was looking for. For your chip, remember. My stepdad was watching in confusion and asked, "Hey, what you looking for?" I tell him, "My block, I can't find it." I eventually grabbed what I thought was a block and told him, "See, I told you." Today I was talking to him about it and he said I grabbed nothing and mumbled, talking to a wall and laughing. That's actually very terrifying. That's a terrifying thing to see. Like, just think about that. Just pretend like you're a stepdad right now and you see your wife's kid, one and only child, picking up something, laughing, and being like, "I got it now." Like, yeah, that's kind of terrifying. Me and my mom went in the car for the hospital. We were sitting in reverse for about 5 minutes. Then I see this man. His appearance looked like he was from The Purge. He had a demon samurai mask with a lion's mane with his mouth covered in blood. He steps closer to the front of the car, then disappears. I look in the reverse camera and see him. He was just standing there with his head tilted, looking sinister. I start mumbling, "Get away from us, go now." Then my mom gets the genius idea to try to help me and starts yelling, "Get away from me and my boy." I'm starting to freak out, wondering, holy shit, can she see him too? He then disappears. We started driving to the hospital and my mom kept telling me to put my socks on. I put them on. Then she told me again to put them on. I show her my foot and said, "Look, they are on. Can you stop asking?" She then tells me, "They are not on. Put them on." So I show her once again and say, "Look, they are on. Stop asking me that goddamn question. See, they are on, okay?" And she just stopped. Okay, that's a little bit funny right there. They're just like pretending like, "I got my fucking socks on. What are you talking about, Mom? I'm on fucking Benadryl right now." Of course I know I put my socks on, bruh. I'm the one who's a sober person here. And she just stopped. We get to the hospital. I don't remember walking in or anything, but I remember just being there without socks on, wearing shoes. The nurse at the desk tells me I can have a seat, and I start walking around. I meant to say my mom grabs, but I said, I mixed it together. I said Grom. My mom grabs me and says, "Have a seat." I walk to the chair and I see it covered in a substance. I tell her, "I'm not sitting there. It's covered in gasoline. Are you trying to burn me?" The nurse reassures me, saying that it's not, and sits in the gas-covered chair to show me. I then sit in it and feel my ass get covered in water. Oh God, this is a very extremely hallucinatory trip. I had to go pee in a cup for the hospital, so I go to the bathroom. When I was there, I completely forgot I was at a hospital, and I saw it as my bathroom at home. My mom kept telling me to pee in the cup. I told her to leave. She said no. I then say, "I can't pee with you here. I'm a shy peer." She then goes in the corner and says, "What about now?" I start peeing, forgetting all about the reason I'm doing so. She then gets mad at me and says, "Pee in the cup." I say okay, grab the cup and pee again. She then tells me again, "No, pee in the cup." I start peeing and piss a tiny bit in the cup. She then puts the cup over my dick and I fill it, getting pee all over the wall, toilet seat, and her hands. I don't even know how I managed to pee on that much Benadryl, but I did. Yeah, that's usually one of the side effects where you don't pee, just like the DXM, like the first story, how you can't go to the bathroom, but so I'm surprised he got it out. Yeah, but that's definitely an awkward experience. But shout out to his mom for real. Like, his mom is a real goat. She's definitely based. Doing what you got to do. Like, it might seem weird to have to hold it up to his penis, but if you love your kid, you want him to survive through this, and you think he's actually going to overdose, like, you want to do what you want to do to save your child, you know, so that your mom is actually fucking like a great fucking mom. So yeah, like that's pretty cool that the length she'll go to fucking save you. Because there's a lot of like awkward auras around stuff like that on the internet, and but like, you know, when you're in that dire situation, you don't know what to do, so your mom is just trying to do it as best as she could. But yeah, no, when you're a mom, the moms have like different abilities in life than I think dads do, because you know, the baby gets built up inside the mom, and you build that connection, and then you're just raising, you're always with the mom when you're a kid. The dad, whatever, not saying the dad isn't there. Well, my dad wasn't there. If I did have a dad though, I still think my mom would be like number one. Now that's why it's really fucked up when your mom is out of the picture or a very horrible person, because that can really fuck you up. Because when a dad is a horrible person, like my dad, you can live with it. But when a mom is a horrible person, it can totally just trauma dump you and just fucking kill you. So if you're born with a good mom and you got a good family and you don't even have a dad or anything, hey, you're in luck. You should be grateful. It's better than having a mom that is a terrible person with a good dad, because it's just because that mom, you have that connection with her. I don't know if you guys are trying to see what I'm trying to say here, but I'm just trying to say that like moms are very important with growing up and, you know, living. So I appreciate this person's mom, and I appreciate my mom. Shout out my mom, I love her so much. And shout out to everyone else's mom. Go moms, you know. All right, let's continue the story before I get hate in the comments. I probably already got a lot. I've already extended this video longer than it was supposed to be. We then go to the hospital room, and I sit down in a chair. The male nurse tells me to go sit in the bed, so my Benadryl brain decides to sit in the middle of the floor. He then says, "Whoa, dude, I like the idea, but I need you in the bed," so I lay down. He starts asking me questions like, "Do you play sports?" I reply, "No." He then asks me the same about video games, and I replied again, "No." My mom was asking me again, "You really don't?" And I reply, "No, I've never played them. Stop asking me." After that, they put the railing up and give me a shot. I don't know what it was for. They start taking blood for a test, and I look over to see my mutilated bloody arm. Oh boy, that's scary. The male nurse tells me, "I love shrooms and weed. We should do it sometime." Oh god. I gotta read that again. The male nurse tells me, "I love shrooms and weed. We should do it sometime." Okay, I had to get that out. I asked my mom about it, and she told me that he asked if I did either of them. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense than asking if they should do it sometime. After the blood they came in with an IV pack and sticked it in. They also put this thing around my upper bicep for oxygen monitoring. Every time I would move my arm, it would start beeping. The nurse and the woman cop came in like 7 times for it. I hear my mom tell me, "It's time to go, let's go." So I take the cotton ball thing off my arm. I later found out that's what it was. But in that moment, I took off a chunk of flesh and started bleeding everywhere. Oh god. When I got up to leave, she told me to lay down. I asked, "Why? You just said we can go." She replied, "I never said that." The woman cop came in the room holding a dental electric saw. She told me I have too many cavities. I asked her for the numbing shot, and she told me no. I had one more hallucination from the hospital, and it was my little sisters all grown up staring at me. I said hi, and they morphed back into my mother. That's fucked, dude. Eventually, we got to leave, so she brought me to my grandma's. I don't remember the drive or anything. My grandpa opens my door and says, Come on, time to go." I told him to hold up, and I was searching the ground for something. He says there's nothing there. I then grab the imaginary object and tell him, "You know you're only right like 70% of the time." I then go inside and try to open the gate for upstairs. They must have told me 8 times I can't because it's too hot, and I finally heard them. So I managed to sprint to the exercise room and laid on the ground. She told me that I need to lay in a bed, so I laid in hers. When I woke up, I thought it was just a dream until my mom was talking to me about it. As far as they know, this was a complete accident. I took 3 pills and had an allergic reaction. Wow, that was actually a really crazy story. I'm surprised there's no comments on it. Yeah, that was definitely something, dude. I'm glad you're fucking okay. And like I said, shout out your mom, dude. That was I probably should have waited to the end to talk about, you know, shouting out moms, but yeah, no, that was definitely. Oh my god, yeah, just the ending part, seeing your sisters morph into your mom, like that's what's very interesting about delirium effects. You know, they like what you see is like the hallucinations are very real, and you think they're real, and you like there's no questioning that they're real, and like that could be fucking real when they grow up. That could be like, because that could just be your mom. Because when I deliver mail, and there's always I know you guys get the ads on every Tuesday. You see there's a missing persons poster in the bottom corner, and it'll be like age modified to current age, and then it'll be like from the baby picture or when they were taken to now. And you'll see that they look different, but it's the same person, and it's just crazy. Like, I feel like that's what I was thinking of when I was reading that, like how that Benadryl actually made him fucking actually see his sisters turn into his mom as like his sisters grown up into his mom. Like that's wild to me. Yeah, this is why you guys need to stay away from Benadryl and shit, because it's very fucking dangerous. You do not want this to happen to you. He's lucky he had a supportive mom. I don't know if anything would have happened if he was home alone, but it sounds like he had an overdose, in my opinion. That was 500 milligrams is a lot. I do not recommend taking that. I don't recommend taking anything. The only time I would recommend Benadryl is actually if you're using it for its purposes, but even then I don't even recommend it, because it's still a very bad drug for you. But yeah, hopefully Johnson & Johnson doesn't hear this, doesn't hear me say this, but yeah, because they own it. They own Benadryl. So we're 36 minutes in here, and we got 4 more stories to go. This one is called 5-gram mushroom trip sent me into psychosis and to the ER where they gave me ketamine. Cops called. All right, we got ketamine in the hospital. That's pretty cool. All right, this is by Mr. Nifty Nice Guy, did I say, who read the last one? Individual_big 6238. Thank you for uploading that story. That was actually one of the better stories I've ever read on my channel. So yeah, thank you. I'm afraid to read it on my main channel, just because that's why I got terminated in the first place, was the DPH reports. So yeah, I just got to be careful with them. So that's why I'm trying to do it on here. And then if I do a DPH report, it's going to be like a delirium compilation or something, you know. So I won't never not do it again on my channel, but I just got to be very careful, you know. That's why I haven't been doing it. But I'm getting so many on this Reddit, so I gotta read them. I definitely have to read them. Up to this point, I have had mostly positive experiences with psychedelics. I have tripped around 30-ish times on both acid and shrooms. Only a few times have been scary trips that resulted in a learning experience, but nothing had happened to me that was actually bad. It was just in my head. Nothing could prepare me for this trip, though. The most mushrooms I had taken in the past was 8 grams, which was a scary time, but a learning experience. I've had a lot more experience with psychedelics since then, so I felt that eating 5 grams would be a good time, since I heard that Terence McKenna said 5 grams was the perfect dose. 2 weeks prior to this trip, I took almost 7 grams of shrooms and had a blast listening to music and vibing in my room. I thought 5 grams would not be that bad. After getting home from eating dinner with my parents, I planned to eat the shrooms, but I threw up my food since I think there was something wrong with it. I decided to eat the mushrooms after this, so I was on an empty stomach with 5 grams of mushrooms as a 150-pound 18-year-old. A few hours before I had taken some bong rips, and I had been hitting my weed pen throughout the beginning of the trip, I went out of my room to watch Wall-E with my dad since my mom went to bed. About 30 minutes into the movie, I was already starting to trip pretty hard, so I said I was tired and I had to go to sleep. I said goodnight and went to my room. I started listening to music, and it was hitting. I would close my eyes and see whatever I was looking at with my eyes closed. My ceiling was looking crazy, the usual visuals, but very intense. I kept hitting my weed pen and vape to boost the experience, which I tend to almost do every time I trip, but this time it was really making me geek hard. Yeah, I don't understand people doing more stuff when you're already on, you know, shrooms and stuff. I think that, you know, you should just stick to shrooms by itself. I think that's just the way to experience it, and just do weed on the come down or whatever, not during it. I think there's no reason to enhance the effects unless you're really good with weed, unless weed is just like you're very fine with it and you're usually fine. But I mean, this guy, he said he took 7 grams and it was fine. So the 5, who would have thought that 5 grams would have done that, you know? So yeah, that's we're gonna see what's gonna happen. But yeah, so it could be confusing in that aspect. But yeah. At one point, I started coughing from the weed pen and felt every time I coughed I got higher and more disoriented. Probably because it's true. At this point, I was chilling though in my bed, and I think everything would have gone good from here, but all of a sudden, I heard the rocket launch go off. I live in an area where rocket launches are pretty frequent, but this one had people on it, and I was peeking in my room. My dad is really into space, so I started getting paranoid that he was going to come into my room to come get me to watch the launch with him, but I was too fucked up. Then I started getting into a thought loop because I thought the rocket had blown up, and I kept regretting taking so many shrooms. After the launch, I lay in my bed, but I had taken out my AirPods, and my brain started making its own music that sounded pretty fire. I started forgetting how reality worked, and that's when I started feeling like I was losing my mind. I've had this feeling before on acid and shrooms, but it was never so bad that it felt like I needed actual help. I started getting panicked, and I started hearing voices talking that sounded like my voice. This scared the shit out of me, and so I decided to Google, am I insane? A very bad idea to do while tripping. Yes, that's a very bad idea to do, for sure. And also, living next to a launch area, like, I don't know how that would make me feel. Like, that'd be pretty cool, but would it be super loud, like, all the time? Like, I don't know how often they would be doing it, but yeah, that'd be kind of cool for sometimes, but, like, yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about that. For some reason at this point, I started getting delusional and thought that everyone I knew in my life was watching me in this moment, like I was being live streamed or something. I started reading the symptoms of being insane, and they were matching with what I was feeling because of the shrooms, so I started bugging, thinking I was going crazy, but I was just tripping. I should have realized this and just stayed in my room, but I convinced myself that I was going crazy or dying, and that I was being watched by everyone I have ever met in my life, so I needed to get help ASAP. I went out of my room to ask my dad for help and asked my dad if the rocket blew up. As soon as I went out of my room, I went to my dad who was watching TV. I asked him what he was watching because I had forgotten what I was going to say to him. This is where my memory starts getting fuzzy and I started blacking out. According to my dad, I started walking back to my room when I turned around and said I needed to get my mom because I was going crazy, or at least that's what I thought I was saying, but my dad said I was not making any sense while talking. He tried to stop me from opening my mom's door, but I was so delusional I thought that I had to get my mom to take me to a mental hospital because I thought I was going crazy. I don't remember doing pretty much anything after this, but I apparently asked my mom if she was insane because I couldn't speak anymore. Everything I said wasn't making any sense. My mom knew something was wrong with me and tried to calm me down and get me to sit on the couch, but I was in full-blown psychosis at this point and thought everyone I knew was watching me, and I thought I was going to die if I didn't get out of my house, but I couldn't tell my mom that I needed help because I was not making any sense. At this point, I thought I was dying or that the world was ending and that I needed to admit I was going crazy to save the world or go to the hospital. I also thought everyone in the world was going crazy and that the world was going to end or something like, and it was up to me to save it. Sorry. So I lost complete control of my body and started running around my house, screaming and cursing, breaking everything in my way and flipping tables and chairs. My parents were trying to get me to calm down, but I was pushing them and cursing at them because at this point, I didn't know who they were. At one point, I kept trying to open the front door, and my parents kept trying to prevent me from leaving, so I started pushing them out the way, and my dad fell over and cut his leg. He had to get stitches, and one of my neighbors drove him to the hospital. Oh my god, dude. Dude, these are some great-ass stories I picked for these fucking videos. This video. Holy shit. I finally made it out of the condo I live in and tried running down the stairs, but I was so fucked up I just fell down the stairs and damaged my knee really bad. My mom had called the cops and the ambulance, so by the time I fell down the stairs and tried to run, the cops tackled me. I was screaming, "Fuck you, and what are you doing to me?" at the cops, and they cuffed me. All of my neighbors came out to look at the scene unfolding outside. Apparently my downstairs neighbors had also called the cops after hearing all of the noise. While this was happening, my dog ran out of the house after biting my dad because he thought my dad was attacking me. My dog ran away because he was scared of what was happening, but my mom found him later. Aw, good thing. That would have been bad if you lost your doggy. That would have been the saddest part of the story. No, I mean, I'm honestly your dad getting injured probably is the saddest story, but yeah, no. So, but animals, they mean a lot to us. You know, a lot of people don't see animals as humans. Like, I mean, they're not humans, but humans are animals, but I'm talking about like You know what I mean? But I see dogs and cats as like, creatures just like us. I think that we're all the same, and I think that we should appreciate them for what they are. And yeah, so losing a dog is just like losing a child, in my opinion. That's literally what it's like. But for me, it's like a cat, because I have a cat, and I can't have a dog because they would fuck up my house when I would leave for work all day, and I just couldn't trust it. But I would like a dog if I could, but I can't. So I have to have a cat. Okay, sorry guys. My dog ran away because he was scared of what was happening, but my dog found him later. But my mom found him later. We already read that. While I was in the cop car, I kept thrashing around, so they had to put a helmet on me. Oh God. Once the ambulance got there, they injected me with ketamine because they said that they want to prevent me from having PTSD from this experience. I think that's another reason why this is so hard to remember. By this point, I was unconscious, having intense hallucinations and ego death. I thought I was dead, and that everyone I knew was watching me die. I started thinking that the only way I could save myself was to have a conversation with everyone I knew. Alright. Next thing I knew, I was on an operating table with doctors all around me. I thought I was still in my room and hallucinating the doctors. There was also some rock and roll song playing in the back of my head. I passed out and woke up on a cot in the ER with my arms tied to the cot. My arms were all cut, most likely from the cuffs. My knee is very swollen and it hurts to walk. My elbows are skinned along with both of my knees and chin. This happened on Friday night and I'm still in a lot of pain. I feel horrible for what I put my parents through and scared that I acted so evil, like I was possessed or something. And worst of all, I don't remember anything. You remember some of it, at least. Okay, so their parents probably told you what happened. Never mind. I've never had a trip go so bad, and I will not be doing shrooms for a while after this, or at least not 5 grams. What's weird is that 2 weeks before this, I took almost 7 grams, and I was just fine. Maybe I need to space out my trips more, but it genuinely felt like I had lost my mind. I didn't get out of the hospital until Saturday at 2 p.m., and I'm still barely able to walk since my knee is so fucked up. This experience was very frightening, and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone else. Please be careful with psychedelics, especially when it comes to your mindset and setting, because even if you think you've mastered psychedelics, they will always humble you. Yes, a very, very good story. Someone commented, dude, on 5 grams of shrooms, getting insane. Doctor, he needs intravenous ketamine shot. I had a family member go through something similar in 210 micrograms. He ended up blacking out. When he spoke, it didn't make any sense. He ended up pulling his pants down and peeing in the living room. He got taken to the ER and was sedated so he can go to sleep. He said he doesn't remember anything. Probably the weed sent you over into paranoia land. You were just right or wrong amount of high when that rocket launched. Every time I have ever had a bad trip, it was after smoking weed. Seems to be a reoccurring theme in a lot of bad trips. Was that the same guy? Okay, so that wasn't OP who said that. Yeah, no, I think the weed definitely, I forgot that he smoked that. So yeah, definitely, especially if you get paranoid usually on weed just by itself, I would not smoke it while fucking doing shrooms, because that something like that could happen, that was a very, very interesting story. I'm glad we're getting all these good stories in here. Like I was like looking at what were the top upvoted stories, and there's a reason why they were. So yeah, I has 11 upvotes now. This next one has 6. This is HHC put me in a state of psychosis. I wanted to get a couple psychosis ones because we need some psychosis stories. And this is from 18 days ago. This is from Zitronen __. Did I say what the last one was from? Mr. Nifty Nice Guy. I always like to say who the stories were by. All right. Main story. HHC is a very common and often underestimated legal alternative to weed. It's a synthetic cannabinoid and is a lot stronger than regular THC. I was walking through my local city, planning to catch a train to meet some friends of mine a little ways away. These kids around my age stopped me and asked me to get them served for a Benjamin in a vape shop. I was compliant and happened to get served as I knew the man who worked there. Before I left for the train, I asked if I could have a drag. Within those 3 puffs, I was sent into the worst state of my life I had ever been in. Before I left the house that morning, I had no intention of getting any form of high. I remember the vape tasting like metal. According to anyone I have asked, that isn't supposed to taste like metal. I may have smoked PCP in some way, according to my buddy. Those poor kids probably smoked that whole thing. Yeah, that's fucking, who knows what's in the head shop HHC pen, for real. As I left the two boys who asked me to get them served, I began to initially feel very relaxed. I even went to the shop to get myself a drink and check the train times. However, something began to wash over me like a wave. See, when you're saying served, like we don't say that in America. I don't like that's. I'm assuming just to get them the stuff. Just basically our way of saying that. Can you buy me this? Served. So it's a little weird. Like when people, I could tell when there's different countries when they upload these stories. Now in America, for sure, they would have it. So I don't know what it's like in other countries with other chemicals, but yeah. So yeah, it felt like sliding the FOV slider in a game up and down, like zooming in and out with the camera. I thought, this is just really fucking strong, as I sparked up a cigarette to calm down. This was another fatal flaw. I tried my absolute hardest to read my phone and follow the directions on Google Maps, as I was far too high to get to the train station on my own, which should have been a sign that I was already too deep in to continue. Where I was walking, there was a bridge over a decently sized river. I needed to get to the total opposite side of the city, which meant I had to walk over this bridge. And don't get me wrong, it was a perfectly safe bridge. Despite this, my fear of drowning took over me, and I fell deep into the grip of paranoia and fear as I very slowly went across the bridge. I made it to the other side and sat on a bench. I called my best friend who I was going to see and frantically said, "Hey, I'm fucked up right now, man. I'm fucked right now, man. Sorry. I can't get you, man." My heart rate climbing higher and higher as I shook more and more and felt sicker and sicker. At this point, I was in a cold sweat and began to hear some auditory hallucinations. He told me he was on his way and to relax and try to enjoy the high, which was some pretty solid advice. I began violently shaking and kept hearing people say my name, even though nobody was around. I returned to another shop and got myself a bottle of Coke and sat in the chairs outside and slumped over. I couldn't feel anything other than my mind racing, thinking that I was going to get sexually assaulted again, and that the person who did that to me was out to get me and knew where I was. Well, that's a scary thought for sure. Oh my God. I get a phone call from my friend. She told me to meet her down the street. I tried to walk, but according to my friends, when I got into the place they were, I couldn't walk properly. I was walking like someone who had no joints in their body. I sat down and they asked me what happened. I tried explaining to them what happened, but I saw something in the corner of my vision and heard whispers of my name. I couldn't fucking believe this. I thought the devil was coming for me and was coming to take my soul. I thought I was going to fucking die. I thought I was going to get kidnapped and murdered. This turn of events made me scream. I screamed and buried my head in my knees and began violently crying and tried to tear my hair out of my skull while every time I looked up they seemed to move. I don't know what I smoked, but it wasn't regular HHC. Since then, I've been dissociating and had a brain fog. HHC doesn't fuck around. Make sure you get your shit branded. Don't do it. Smoke regular weed instead, man. All right, yeah, for sure. Someone said maybe HHCP or THCP. HHC has given me psychosis as well. I was hallucinating and shit. Sucks, man. It's fucking awful. Hopefully you're doing better nowadays. I'm still a little hazy since it. I remember taking a blinker off my friend's THCP card. Jesus Christ, that was scary. Why do I not know what a THCP card is? Brand new hemp compound. Okay. Maybe I should make a video on this pretty soon. Oh, wow, yeah. Let's see. Is there any horror stories? I could have read that one for that. THC. Yeah, they're very new. Okay. Okay, yes. All right. Okay, so there are some stories. There might be a chance we might do another cart video. I like reading cart stories because they're a lot of fun. If I'm gonna do a weed video, I at least want to do that. So yeah. Lace weed is the next story. I haven't done a lace weed video in a while. Because usually lace weed, it's a very iffy topic because you don't know if it's really lace weed or if you just were paranoid and had a panic attack or something. But sometimes, I think it happened more back in the day. Like I think people were just smoking spice and, people were just, that was happening. So, but nowadays, I don't know. I think it's harder to come by lace weed. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see by the story. Let's see what they say. And then we'll judge it by the end of it. All right. And that last story, did I say? I said who that was by. So yeah, I said that one. And then this one is by Bonnie69420. Midsummer 2023. You mean 2019 when the movie came out? No, I'm kidding. Approximately 4:15 p.m., I was walking through the local village. The day before, I was at a former friend's house and hit their Uncle Dabwood's cart. It made me realize how much I miss weed, so today I was fiending. I texted my friends about how I was praying to the universe that I'd somehow get free weed. About 5 minutes down the road, I found a joint on the ground and nearly jumped with excitement. I know, don't smoke shit you find on the ground. Okay. But I was a junkie. They wrote I know twice, but like, yeah, okay, forget it. I spent around 10 minutes debating with my ex on whether I should smoke it or not. I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna smoke it. I'm a fucking idiot. I could have died. Yeah, no, definitely don't smoke what you find on the ground. So this definitely could be some sort of fucking lace joint. If it's on the ground, the person probably freaked out before who did it first, and they didn't know. Approximately 4:40 p.m., I walked into a car park and sat behind the shops that were next to it. I unrolled it to check if it was alright. I even moved the weed around to make sure. It looked fine. I re-rolled the joint and smoked it. I luckily took my time and smoked the whole thing over the course of about 7 minutes. After that, I got up and began walking towards the park, only across the road. A text conversation between me and a former friend while I was walking. Me, a bit before. I'm gonna smoke it, lol. Them. Laced with crack, lol. Be careful. Me, I checked it. I should be fine. Approximately 4:55, I began getting tracers, and everything felt like it was in slow motion. Even my thoughts were slow, but even then I could only think slow. Okay, so this is definitely laced or spice for sure. I somehow didn't get hit by any cars while crossing the road and soon snapped out of my slow motion daze or whatever. I walked all the way over to a stoner bench, a Banjack's bench that got its name from all the people that sit there to smoke weed. After about 5 minutes of feeling like shit and super stoned, I took out my phone to try to ask my friends to pick me up. It was a struggle. Everything felt heavy, and I have to use full force to pull my phone out. This wasn't as bad as a spice trip started on the same bench. I wouldn't take my phone out around anyone because I thought it was legal to do so. None of my friends could come get me. I began feeling panicked and annoyed, realizing I'm gonna have to ride this out on my own. I slowly dragged my way down to a fake well and sat on the ledge. This is where everything intensified. Approximately 5:20 p.m. Everything was okay at first. I took a few puffs of my vape because nicotine temporarily takes me back to reality in these situations. But then I realized my heart was beating really hard. It hurt a tiny bit. Weirdly enough, I could feel my heartbeat in my collarbone. I spent about 5 minutes just gripping my collarbone with both hands, feeling the heartbeat. I stopped and put my hand on the stone. It felt spicy. Ice spicy? Everything I touched felt spicy. I don't even know how that works. I don't know how that works either. I panicked a bit and suddenly got the feeling of extreme anxiety. I began to pulse green, like that one episode in Rick and Morty. The same sound for the pulsing too. I got really scared and closed my eyes to stop seeing it, but I could still hear it. When I opened them and stared at it for a while, I calmed down. I somehow got the idea that I was Jerry, and that this needed to happen for the episode to go on. Rick will fix it, I thought. Oh boy, once you start getting Rick involved, I don't know. Approximately 5:50 p.m. I don't remember what happened, but I suddenly realized I was slowly walking out of the park. Where am I going? What am I doing? Since I couldn't remember where I wanted to go, I walked towards a shopping center. This is around when I stopped looking at my phone for a long while, so I don't know the times of these events. I slowly dragged myself towards it. It felt like it took hours. It could have been a few minutes. After I got there, I managed to buy a drink without saying a word. I was sweating bullets, thinking I'd get caught and arrested. I chugged it because I had the driest cottonmouth anyone could ever have. It felt like the entire Sahara Desert was relocated into my mouth. I then made my way to the benches outside and sat down. I felt like I was being swung around on a roller coaster. I was really nauseous. I put my head down and closed my eyes, hoping to just fall asleep to get through it. I heard what sounded like some people I know in the distance. I lifted my head up, unsure if I had fallen asleep, and I saw them. I still wasn't sure if I was hallucinating or not, so I just put my head down. After what felt like another nap, I lifted up my head once again and saw them sitting on a bench across from me. One of their friends I didn't know waved at me. I waved back and put my head down. After thinking about whether they really were there or not, for what felt like hours, I suddenly heard one of them saying, "My name, my name, my name." I suddenly remembered, that's my name, that's who I am. Who said that? I looked up and they were really there. They asked me if I was okay. I told them that I got laced and I wasn't having a good time. They ushered me over to their bench and sat me down with them. I asked them what time it was. 8:40 p.m. Holy shit, how long was I on that bench for? I asked them. They told me that since they got there, about 2 hours. So they were just sitting there watching him? I I was still really fucked up at this point, but I felt much better. We sat around and they passed me their vapes to bring me back to reality. We played some games to keep me awake and get my mind functioning. Around 10 p.m., they decided I was sober enough to head home. They gave me change for the bus, and I managed to get home safely. The next day, I was completely fine besides a pounding headache for a few hours. I'm really lucky to be alive, and luckily, this was the kick in the ass I needed to stop doing all this junkie shit. Don't ever do what I did. Yeah, okay, so sometimes people can't control what they do, but when you find a joint on the ground, that's like most of the time it probably is not going to be laced, or in this case, I think that was probably most likely spice for sure. But yeah, don't pick up things you see on the ground, no matter what it is. Even the 5-second rule does not take place, because as soon as it touches the ground, there's the bacteria, and that's just for food and shit in general. But yeah, so don't do that. But yeah, what do you guys think that was? I think that was definitely spice, or it could have been, I mean, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with PCP, like I don't know too much of the effects, but I know spice that has some similar effects with it. So yeah, I feel like that had to do something with that. All right, so we got one more story here, and we're gonna be over an hour. This is one of the longest frightening trip reports to fall asleep to. So yeah, hell yeah, you're gonna be able to fall asleep for sure. Started off talking about Chernobyl, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Sufficient _mango_. I smoked weed while on mood stabilizers. Now this is the shortest story. I saved it for last, but it has 11 upvotes, so it should be pretty good. My junior year, okay, so they just wrote junior. My junior year, I had a friend who I'll call Jake. Before the school day started, he let me hit his weed pen. Now, I was fully aware of what would happen and the terrifying high, but I still hit the weed pen for some reason. Everything was fine until 5 minutes after I got to my class. I had horrible anxiety because my throat hurt, and I had, and still have, a fear of gagging/throwing up. I started rocking back and forth and picking at my cuticles because that helped my anxiety. My friend, who I'll call JJ, was like, okay, let's go to the bathroom and get you cleaned up. Then I started gagging. I ran out of the classroom and to the student assistance coordinator's office. I kept gagging and drinking my drink to stop my throat from hurting, but it didn't work. The student assistance coordinator, Mrs. A, didn't know what was going on and tried to calm me down, but I couldn't talk or anything, so she left me alone for a bit. Next thing I know, the whole administration was in Mrs. A's office, and they tried to talk to me, but when they got no answer, they left me, but the principal stayed there while the cop came to Mrs. A's office. When the cop came, he handcuffed me, so I stopped picking at my fingers, and as I walked to the police car, the principal was saying something like, okay guys, go to class, move on. What I saw was nobody. When I was in the cop car, I realized I can just stop gagging, so I did. I have no idea how. I thought the cop was driving me home even though he didn't know my address, but he drove me to the hospital to get checked out. When I got there, I begged the cop to take me out of the handcuffs so I can get my water while the nurse was taking my vitals, and the cop kept saying no. I started getting mad, and I think I cursed him out, but I don't remember. When I got to a room, they let me have my water. After they hooked me up to a monitor, my heart rate was high. I just played games on my phone until my dad and his girlfriend got there. I lied to my dad and said I had an anxiety attack because he would kill me if I smoked. I had to give a urine sample so the doctors could figure out what was going on, and obviously they found weed, and I asked if they would tell my dad, and they said they might, so I panicked. After my heart rate was down and normal, they put me in the psych ward to get evaluated because I picked at my cuticles and they classified it as self-harm. Oh God. I went home the same day though, thank God. I've been put to a psych ward before and it's horrible. So I got home later that day. I didn't even get yelled at for smoking or anything. My family was calm, which I'm very grateful for. Well, that sounds like that was jumbled, but that was a clear story of just what not to do at school, especially on mood stabilizers, like, especially a weed pen, dude. People who hit the weed pen at school, don't do it, dude. You're getting a whole fucking dab at school, like, bruh, come on, really? If you're gonna smoke weed before school, do it the old classic way. Grab a bowl, grab a joint, smoke a blunt. Smoke a blunt before school, hit a bong, you know. That could be a rap song. Someone should turn that into a rap song, what I just said there. Yo, hit a bong, yo, hit a bow, put a bowl in it, yo. People even smoke DMT before school. I remember that day. It was a skate park. Oh, good times, good fucking times, bruh. I'm just imagining my school at this for this story. You know, luckily this never happened to me. I never got involved with that. Not saying I never. I don't know if I. I don't think I ever hit a weed pen. I mean, that they didn't really. What we had to do to have weed pens, we would have to put dab oil inside of a vape. And put it inside of it, and we would hit it, and we would get so high, dude. Like actual fucking, just not like actual disposable pen, but not like a cartridge, but actual, like we would have these dabs, and we would put it in the fucking heater, and it would heat up in the coil, and we would hit it. That was the old-fashioned way, dude, and we would do that all the time. My friend was a master at it, and his vape was so cool. And I never knew if it was a weed or if it was just nicotine. And I remember, dude, I miss hitting vapes, dude. I remember there was this one vape juice that tasted like fucking leather. That shit was fucking good. Leather and bourbon. Oh, yes, could I hit your vape that tastes like leather and bourbon? Oh, monsieur. But yeah, no, we used to hit that shit all the time, bruh. But yeah, no, so this has been a very long video. I'm glad I got to do it. I'm sorry for messing up there. That was totally my fault. Because you guys actually formatted these stories pretty well. So that's all on me. That's all on me. I'm just not in the right mindset today to do this, but I wanted to do it since I haven't done a video in a while. It's been 8 days since I last did one, and it's been over a month since I last did the last Frightening Trip Reports to Fall Asleep too. So yeah, I just wanted to do this just to do it. But yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I'm not gonna ask you to subscribe or donate any money because I'm not like that anymore. Like when I first started, yes, it was kind of fun to do that, but now I just want you guys to just enjoy the content and to just be free with yourselves. And but I do want you to like it, though. I do want you to like it so it gets more traction. And yeah, so if you're still awake somehow and you stay with us, hey, give it a like. Because I'm sure if you're still watching, you're probably subscribed because you just love hearing me go on and on about whatever the fuck. Oh yeah, so I might as well, since it's the end of the video, you guys can click away at any time now. I am going on a vacation soon here. That'll be fun. I'm going to do shrooms at the vacation spot. It'll be nice. I'll update you guys on it. And then let's see what else. I don't know. That's really all I want to say about that because it's going to be a fun time. Once you guys see where I'm going to, it's going to be a great fucking time. But yeah, so what we learned from today is don't pick up things you found on the ground. Don't take 500 milligrams of Benadryl. Don't take Benadryl at all. Be careful with your shroom dosages. Even if you've already taken 7 grams, 5 grams might still be too much if you take it a lot. If you haven't taken it in a while. Let's see, the first story, don't do DXM when you have to be with your when your friend's parents. Only take 1 tab of acid if it's 150 micrograms. And do not take 900 micrograms. Do not hit HHC vape pens that are in the head shops. And do not smoke weed while on mood stabilizers, and don't hit weed pens when you're at school. That's basically what we learned today. And also watch Chernobyl. One of those. Wait, let's actually get the correct pronunciation. Chernobyl. I think it's Chernobyl. Chernobyl. Chernobyl pronunciation. Chernobyl. Okay, so it's Chernobyl. I was saying it wrong the whole time. I bet you I'm gonna get a comment, and then you're not gonna even see this part of the video. Well, yeah, I changed it now. I got it right. So yeah, fuck you. Just kidding. I love you all. All right, let's end it here though. We've talked for a while, and I think it's a good time to end. It's 3:14, and this will be up probably pretty soon from now. So yeah, have a great weekend, great day, great night, and stay safe out there, guys. Don't do what these people in the story did, please. Stories, excuse me.